What's going on, guys? It is Blue Dream 47, and today we're going to talk about the new Skull Merchant after her rework, and I'm just going to be giving you guys hopefully some idea of how to go against her. So recently, as per a sub goal, I did a win streak on the new Skull Merchant. So basically how her power works now compared to the old is that she has 6 drones instead of 4. Her drones no longer have like an active zone. Rather, it has a zone that will activate when a survivor goes into it, which will create 2 scanners that rotate, and upon scanning a survivor, it will reveal them. Once it scans them 3 times, it will injure them. If they are already injured, it will put them into deep wounds as well. It will give them a claw trap, which the Skull Merchant will be able to remotely track them. Some other status effects as well. If she is in a zone and a survivor is in a zone, she will get haste. There's add-ons to give you undetectable and things like that. She will also gain about 10 seconds of undetectable upon putting down a drone, and survivors can also disable drones for 45 seconds, after which the drone will become active again. So, I did a win streak on Skull Merchant, and wow, man, we did not really have too much opposition at all. One thing that I noticed was that survivors just did not really seem to know what to do. A lot of survivors were going into it with the mindset that this is the old Skull Merchant and would just kind of give up or think that I'm in a 3-gen and then just like let me kill them, things like that. So there wasn't really much opposition at all. So I'm hoping to make this video just to kind of help you guys and give you guys some idea of what to do against her. So, just to give you guys some idea of what I was running. So for the win streak, I was running Plaything, Thanatophobia, Pentimento, and Deadlock. I think Thanatophobia is a really good perk on her, as it's very easy to keep everybody injured, especially considering that drones now apply deep wounds, so furthering the time that they can even begin to heal, and especially if you consider the Powdered Glass add-on, which applies the same effects of Sloppy Butcher upon a survivor being claw-trapped or injured by a drone. I don't think this is like the strongest build on Skull Merchant, but it is a very strong build if you'd like to try it out. But yeah, I want to talk about the strategy that I was using, and then we're going to go into what survivors are doing wrong and what survivors could be doing right. So during the win streak, what I would do is I would set up 1 or 2 drones on my way to find a survivor, and then we would find the survivor, and basically they would take me to a loop, place a drone, and eventually they would injure themselves, and we would get it down, activating Plaything, and then we would kind of set up like a zone around them and kind of create a lot of pressure in forcing survivors who were going for the save to run through the drone's active zone. We had very little opposition for this entire win streak. Only one team before the match that we lost was able to even get all of the gens done. So it was pretty brutal. If you want to try this build out, let me know what you think. I think it's a very strong build. Yeah, so basically we would hook a survivor, create like a zone, and try to just get everybody affected with Plaything. And because Skull Merchant is such a quiet killer, the only thing you can really hear are her footsteps, which were actually made quieter with the rework to her. So I think that stealth perks are a pretty good option. You can mess around with just placing a drone and then going towards a gen, things like that. What I saw a lot of was survivors kind of, rather than avoiding the scanners of drones, they would simply run through them, just eating the effects and giving me effects just to deal with it and just get out of the way, and so they could get to a pallet quicker. But I don't think this is the best thing to do, especially if you consider that you will get hindered if you are scanned and Skull Merchant is inside of the drone. She will get haste and you will actually get injured. So it's not really a good idea to let yourself get scanned. If you can, like, sometimes you can't avoid it, and that's totally fair, But what I saw during these 43 wins was a lot of times where survivors could avoid it, but chose to just simply run through it and deal with the effects. On the match that I lost, I saw survivors doing very smart things. Now, this is going to help you if you are going against a skull merchant. So if you are a survivor and you're learning and you're hoping to learn what to do against skull merchant, please listen up so that this can help you. So Number one of the most important things that you want to do when going against Skull Merchant is keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Do not just sit on a gen and just look at the gen. You want to keep your eyes open because now that Skull Merchant can place a drone and immediately gain undetectable, what she can do is when approaching your drone or when approaching your gen, place a drone and get 10 seconds of undetectable, enough time to creep up and maybe get a grab. So you want to, first and foremost, keep your head on a swivel, always look around, and make sure that she's not creeping up on you, especially if you're looking at the UI and you can clearly see that nobody's in chase. Number two, one of the biggest things that I saw a lot of people not doing was hacking drones. Hacking drones. If you can see a bunch of drones on loops and things like that, there is no penalty for taking down a drone. Before, when you disarmed a drone, you would receive a claw trap. That is no longer a thing. So when you hack a drone, there is no penalty as long as you successfully do it. If you fail the drone hacking minigame, your lock-on meter will fill up. So this isn't great. But if you succeed, there is no penalty. You will not receive a claw trap, and this drone will be disabled for 45 seconds. So this is kind of a thing. I feel like a lot of people have the same mentality as before, just ignore the drones, but that's no longer a thing. You definitely want to take them out. And what I actually saw in a few games was a survivor who would follow me around the map and disable my drones as I went around, just so that survivors could have loops that they could go to. So definitely get rid of the drones. And if you're good at the mini games, you can disable her drones as fast as she can put them down, which is very punishing to a Skull Merchant player. So definitely get rid of the drones as soon as you can. Do not let them just sit there. And yeah. Number three, one of the biggest things that I mentioned before is that a lot of people would just run into the drones blindly and get scanned when they didn't really need to. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of ways that you can, even while on a loop, avoid the scanners. So, number one, when you are looping on a loop and Skull Merchant places down a drone, you have two choices. You can leave the loop entirely, go to a different loop, forcing her to put down a new drone, and avoiding the drone altogether. Or number two, you can try to play the loop and drop the pallet. So if you aren't able to make it to another loop and you are being forced to play the pallet, something that you can do, which is the most important, is if you are not moving, you will not be scanned. So what I actually saw from a lot of survivors is mid-chase, they would just stand still for a split second, and literally less than a second as the scanner passes you, if you just stop for that split second, you will not be scanned. So that's something really important to remember. But even more useful as a survivor is that you can crouch the scans. And a lot of people don't know this, but the team that beat me in my win streak, they were doing this a lot around loops and stuff. So especially if you have urban evasion, this is really, really good. So yeah, so you can stand still, but if you are on a loop and you are being forced, especially if you have 2 scans going on 3, you don't want to take that injure state and receive a claw trap. So what you need to do is if you can't avoid the scan entirely, you can crouch. You can crouch so you can still move just a little bit. And if you're on a pallet, you can just stand still. And even if you drop the pallet, because your character has not moved position at all, you will not receive a scan. So you can just camp a pallet and you won't get scanned. You don't have to worry about that, right? But the biggest thing is that you can crouch. So you can still move around scans, around loops, and not receive a scan. So this is, in my opinion, vital information. As the game that I lost, these survivors were doing it constantly in order to make it to pallets and completely avoid scans altogether. And as a skull merchant, you need those scans. You need to scan survivors and injure them so that you can have access to their location on your device, and just apply injure states and deep wound states and things like that, and in order to build pressure. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things, is that you can crouch. As well, something that this team was doing was moving with the rotation of the drones. So the drones will scan and they will move in a rotation. And you, as a survivor, can actually move with the rotation, because a lot of Skull Merchant players don't think to reverse the rotation. So that's definitely something that you can do. If you can move with the rotation, this will buy you kind of more time where you don't have to avoid the scans. Obviously, it is very hard to kind of navigate around a loop while the scanner is doing this and avoiding the Skull Merchant at the same time. But it is just something to help you. And so yeah, these are some of the biggest things. I think that Skull Merchant is in a much better place now. I think she is in a more healthy place, and I myself definitely enjoy playing her. I think that survivors, I really hope, will use this video in order to help them. And in going forward, maybe we can get Skull Merchant to a point where she's not such a hated killer. Because for the longest time, she really was the most hated killer, thanks to a lot of kind of scummy players who were using her to just 3-gen and hold games hostage. Such as, the one that was featured in the Otstarva video and the Hens video. So yeah, I hope this video can help some of you guys going forward, and if it does, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and check me out on Twitch. By the way, I go live 4 or 5 times a week, and we have a lot of fun over there, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.